Agriculture is extremely important in every part of the world, if not for any other reason, because we all need to eat. However, some nations' agriculture is basic and requires just a couple of thousand hectares of farmland. On the other hand, some make use of millions, even hundreds of millions, of hectares of land solely for agriculture. In this video, we will be taking you through the top 10 countries in the world with the most agricultural land. You'll be shocked just how much land can be used to farm, so make sure you stay with us till the end of the video. Number 10. Nigeria. Getting right into it, as the country with the 10th largest agricultural land in the world, we have Nigeria. With a total of 35 million hectares of arable land, Nigeria is one of the most agricultural nations in the world. In fact, agriculture accounts for about 26% of the national GDP. Also, as of 2020, agriculture provides employment for about 35% of the total population. Nigeria is a major world leader in agricultural products like palm oil, cocoa beans, pineapple, and sorghum. The country's major kind of land use includes rainfield agriculture, irrigated agriculture, grassland, forestry, and recreation. The giants of Africa is even said to have up to 79 million hectares of fertile agricultural land, but has managed to only cultivate less than half of that. Maybe they'll cultivate all that land and move up on our list in a few more years. Number 9. Argentina. As one of the world's major exporters of meat, soybeans, corn, and wheat, Argentine agriculture dates back to the 1900s. It is relatively capital intensive and provides about 7% of all employment in the nation today. Argentina is one of the largest producers of wool and wine, although they hardly export their wine. The total agricultural land in Argentina is about 40.2 million hectares, estimated to be 39.6% of land area by the World Bank in 2020. Agriculture is so predominant in Argentina that undeveloped land costs as much as $8,000 per hectare for a plot of at least 50 hectares. Number 8. Ukraine. Up next on our list, as a country with the 8th largest agricultural land, we have Ukraine, one of just 2 European nations that make up the top 10. This nation has agriculture as one of its major sources of export revenues, with 56.5% of the land being used as arable. The crops produced in Ukraine are mainly wheat, barley, and corn. In fact, almost 10% of the world wheat market, more than 15% of the corn market, and about 10% of the barley market are supplied solely by Ukraine. And there's also sunflower oil, which Ukraine supplies over half of the world trade for. The total land area for agriculture activities in Ukraine is 42 million hectares. Massive. You may be wondering why so much land is dedicated to agriculture in Ukraine. Well, agriculture made up over 10% of the country's $68 billion in overall exports in 2021, which came from agriculture. Number 7. Indonesia. Moving on, we have the first of many Asian countries on our list, Indonesia, which has a total of 62.3 million hectares of agricultural land. Apart from being one of the world's most populous nations, Indonesia is one of the world's largest producers and exporters of agricultural products. This massive supply is mainly made up of palm oil, natural rubber, cocoa, coffee, rice, spices, and the recently higher valued fruits and vegetables. Agriculture makes up the largest part of the economic sector in this country, thanks to the vast and abundant arable fertile soils. Over 30% of Indonesia's land area is used for agriculture, and over 29% of the workforce population work in the agricultural sector. In general, primary agricultural production accounts for about 15% of the nation's GDP. Number 6. Canada. The generally cold climate might make this country a surprise one on this list. However, Canada is, in fact, the sixth nation in the world when it comes to the total agricultural land area. More than the wonderful scenery, maple syrup, ice hockey frenzy, and polite people, Canada is a major player in the global agricultural market. In 2021 alone, about $82 billion worth of agriculture and food products, including raw, processed, and seafood, was exported from Canada. And that's not all. In the same year, Canada exported to over 200 countries, becoming the fifth largest exporter of agri-food and seafood in the world. All this is achievable on the 64.7 million hectares of agricultural land available in the country. The major crops grown include wheat, canola, corn, and soybeans. These crops are mainly cultivated in the provinces of Ontario, Quebec, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta. Oh, you should know that the average farmer salary in Canada is $39,000 per year or $20 per hour. Not bad. Not bad at all. Number 5. Brazil. Still in the Americas, but this time we're going down south. We have Brazil as the fifth-ranked nation in terms of agricultural land. Viewed as the world's largest country in terms of arable land and the largest agricultural net exporter, Brazil boasts 86.7 million hectares of agricultural land. Back in the mid-1900s, Brazil was known for solely being an exporter of tropical agricultural products like coffee, sugar, and cacao. However, since the turn of the 21st century, this tropical nation has become a major global supplier of soybeans, soybean products, corn, manioc, rice, cotton, sugar, coffee, orange juice, meat, and ethanol. In fact, Brazil is a top 5 producer of over 34 agricultural commodities worldwide. Brazil also produces about 20 billion liters of milk yearly and is among the 10 largest world producers. With a total land area of 8.5 million square kilometers, agriculture has steadily increased its percentage of the nation's total landmass. Number 4. Russia. Up next, we have the world's largest country by landmass and only the second European country that makes this list, Russia. There's nothing more Russian than wanting total control. And in the agricultural sector, Russia has quite excelled in being world recognized. Russia ranks among the top 5 global producers of wheat, sugar, potato, barley, sunflower seed, maize, oats, dry pea, pumpkin, buckwheat, carrot, onions, cucumber, and many other crops. This nation also has a massive output of milk and dairy products, having exceeded 38.3 million metric tons in 2021. Russia also produced 11.3 million metric tons of meat in the same year. All the agriculture activities in Russia bring the sum total of agricultural land in the nation to about 123.2 million hectares. Number 3. China. We have the world's largest country by landmass. Up next, we have the world's largest country by population, the Republic of China. If you had to guess, you'd probably have mentioned rice as one of the major crops produced, and you'd be right. But more than that, China is also a leading country in the production of wheat, potatoes, tomato, sorghum, peanuts, tea, millet, barley, cotton, oilseed, corn, and soybeans. China has only 10% of arable land worldwide and also produces fruits, vegetables, cereals, eggs, and poultry in abundance. You might find this crazy to believe, but China, on its own, produces a quarter of the world's grain output. That means you've most probably eaten Chinese grain somehow, even if you've never visited a Chinese restaurant. In total, China has about 135 million hectares of agricultural land. However, of all this land, none is privately owned. Yup, private land ownership has been banned in China since the early 1980s. Number 2. United States. At the tail end of our list, we have the United States of America. You probably didn't see this one coming because of all the sectors the US is known for, agriculture is hardly one. However, that belief is flawed. In 2021 alone, the US gross domestic product consisted of roughly $500 billion from agriculture, food, and related industries. The United States is, in fact, a world leader in agricultural science. They have been able to play a major part in addressing global food concerns. The range of crops produced here is endless. We're talking about corn, soybeans, wheat, oats, barley, sorghum, peanuts, potatoes, sugarcane, broomcorn, sugar beets, mint, hops, milk, meat, hay, silage, forage, and many more. Not only is the United States a top producer and exporter, but also one of the largest consuming markets globally. A total of about 160.5 million hectares of agricultural land ranks the US as the second on our list. The majority of agricultural production comes from the states of California, Iowa, Nebraska, Texas, Minnesota, Illinois, Kansas, Indiana, North Carolina, and Wisconsin. Number 1. India. At the top of our list, and as the nation with the most agricultural land in the world, we have India. Here's the thing. Very few countries in the world have agriculture so deeply rooted in their history like India. Since the Neolithic ages, India has been a nation based on agriculture, and they've done well to preserve that history. Today, India ranks second worldwide in farm outputs and boasts an outstanding 169.5 million hectares of agricultural land. India has also the largest gross irrigated crop area in the world, with 82.6 million hectares. India is the world's largest producer of milk, pulses, and jute. This nation also ranks high in the production of rice, wheat, sugarcane, groundnut, vegetables, fruit, and cotton. India also produces massive quantities of spices, fish, plantation crops, poultry, and livestock. Agriculture is so important to Indians that 53% of the total workforce is engaged to agriculture-related activities. It's fair to conclude India is the world's most agriculture-oriented nation. Which of these countries did you not expect to be on the list? Or which nation did you expect to be here and isn't? Let us know in the comment section.